Fire show, a show that a number of people are very happy to tune into. And sometimes we disappoint you, sometimes we are not here. Today we are starting a bit late, but good evening. And it is a pleasure to be here to bring our analysis of what's taking place in the news on the Third Empire show. Good afternoon to our friends who listen to us in New York, who listen to us in uh, Texas, who listen to us from Miami. Those of you who, and this is a cricket show, well, this is a show coined in cricket metaphor, and we very much look at the batting and the bowling side and how they perform. But that is not the real show, really, is the analysis of what is taking place in the news, how we see it, and we, of course, we tell you how the batting is being done, and how the bowlers bowl also. So this evening is no different. We look at what's in the news, and one of the things that, well, before I start talking about the positive, I want to say, send both condolences and send prayers to the people of Colombia who suffered a 7.4 magnitude earthquake yesterday. And that, to me, is, that is sad. I mean, coming out the heels of what took place in Venezuela a couple of weeks ago. We now have an earthquake in the same peninsula, so to speak. And that should say something to us in Trinidad and Tobago, because we are in the same vein. And certainly, when you see big buildings just rocking until they fall, that should tell us that we should be prepared. For God is not necessarily a Trini as you think He is, and we should prepare. We should consider prayers, and we should also consider putting our house in order, because natural disasters like earthquake, they don't tell you when they come in. They just come, they show up, and we see what happened in Venezuela, and we are now seeing what's happening in Colombia. Venezuela is still trying to recover from what happened a few weeks ago, and Colombia is now facing the brunt of it. We are seeing a significant change in weather pattern, climate change, and that kind of thing, and certainly we have to pay particular cognizance to what is happening in other places, because we are not necessarily insulated from those kind of disasters. That could very well happen here, and it has happened maybe hundreds of years before, and it could happen again. So I say condolences to the people of Colombia who would have lost their loved ones in this horrific natural disaster, and also to the people who are recovering, the nation itself. I say send prayers to them, because what is happening out there is very, very, very serious. And we are not, as I said, we are not necessarily insulated from those kind of events. I was reading an article yesterday in the US News, which said that the US could probably experience a natural disaster, a flooding event that in biblical proportions, meaning end of the world kind of proportions. And that was scientists saying that this is serious. What is happening here is serious. I noticed that, this is dry season. I don't know if you realize this is dry season, and we get some rain today. We getting some sporadic rain, and some areas we having floodings and that kind of thing. But the sun is extremely hot. I've lived here for all of my life, And I can't remember sun being so hot. It reminds me of when you go to places like Las Vegas and that kind of thing. The heat, that's the kind of heat we experience in here in the last year, 2 years and that kind of thing. We are in the dry season and we are still experiencing that kind of hot sun. So that should tell us something. Things are changing. Climate change is real, and certainly we have to be prepared for the unexpected events that could follow. I really hope that I'm wrong, but I'm seeing all the signs. We are seeing all the signs of what is to come. And while we are seeing it, other countries are experiencing it. So, ladies and gentlemen, listeners, take care. Pay particular cognizance to that. We are accustomed to rain and sun and some minor flooding and that kind of thing, what we call flooding. Other countries, they experience flooding at different proportions, cataclysmic proportions, and that should tell us something. We are a small nation. These things could very well happen to us and probably overcome us. So it is something to think about. On the positive light, I see that the visit of the deputy Secretary of State of the U.S., that is Christopher, what's his name? Christopher Landu. Yeah, Christopher Landu is in Trinidad and Tobago, and he seems to be he seems to have brought a bag of goodies. In that a plant that was laid up for more than 10 years, a steel plant that was down for almost 10 years now, was opened yesterday, or revitalization started, and the U.S. is investing in that. That consortium more or less is investing over $750 million into that project, promising to employ over 1,000 people. As a matter of fact, more persons than was employed in the plant that closed. And that is good news for Trinidad and Tobago. So for those who, sometimes we really have to observe what's going on, and the geopolitics. There are certain geopolitical implications which will have I should say, hasten this kind of project in Trinidad and Tobago by the U.S. But this certainly is a welcomed investment, and it will certainly bring a lot of needed jobs and investment for the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and that is something that we also have to observe and thank the government in its wisdom in continuing certain kind of partnership with the U.S. government. And we know, I'm saying this, and I know I'm hearing some of you, we know what we think, what some people think of all of this, but these things are materializing in ways some of you did not expect, and it is good for Trinidad and Tobago. So the government would have been in office for probably just over a year, and they have been taking some serious flack from the citizenry. Some would say that they've lost all their goodwill. I would not say that, but clearly, when you take a government, when you inherit a government after 10 years, and there were certain things, while I'm not saying that what would have happened in the past was probably all bad, because they too would have inherited something of probably an investment or whatever, but they too were doing some significant planning in the past. It is now, we are now seeing, while some countries are some small island states are really reeling under the kind of inflation and the kind of everything that is taking place in the world, kind of negativities that are taking place in the world. And we weren't spared of that. We have some serious crime problems and all that kind of thing, all of which would have stemmed from an economy that is by and large broken, an economy that that has been, we would have gone through a period of wealth, and to a large extent we did not invest properly, we did not save properly, we did not do the things that we should have done, and as a result of that we are left with a more or less broken society. We have crime, we have broken families, we have all kind of issues that are taking us down a road that is not necessarily good for Trinidad and Tobago. We are now seeing that the government is now attempting to forge different kind of partnerships to revitalize Trinidad and Tobago, and it seems to be working. So we want to, while it is happening quietly, because it is not just that investment, it's not just the opening of the steel plant, but there are other things that are happening, and that to a large extent is saying a lot is putting a lot of positives in where we go from here. So probably I would like to hear what some of the people who, cry out a lot about the things that they feel that the government is not doing in the way that they expected, because a lot of people look at the negative all the time. Sometimes it is overwhelming. Sometimes when you look at what's happening with crime and that kind of thing, it's sometimes overwhelming. But we also have to look at the positives also, and give the government credit sometimes for initiating the things that they do to get us back on the track that we were on before, and that to me is important. So that and other things, other investments like that, other investments in the Trinidad and Tobago economy. I saw that one of the things that will be produced in that steel plant would be a product that is used in aerospace, and that product, to a large extent, China and Russia, they really hold almost 80% of the rare earth material and the production of that particular material, that particular metal. And we are now going to be producing that at some point in time in Trinidad and Tobago, and to a large extent that says something, because we would certainly make a part of the downstream, or the chain, that the supply chain, the U.S. supply chain. So certainly this particular initiative, revitalization initiative, will bring a lot for Trinidad and Tobago, more than jobs, but huge investment in terms of finance and that kind of thing, foreign exchange. And this, to a large extent, is, in my opinion, is great for Trinidad and Tobago, not just now, but in the future. So, this is Tuesday. We are on the Third Empire Show. You can certainly call me on 342. I am here alone today, of course, and you can call me on 342-0081 or 466-5391. We have a lot to discuss today. That is in relation to the investment that came, of course, with the Deputy Secretary of State, Mr. Christopher Lamdou. Outside of that, yesterday I read an article in the Guardian. I think it was page 10 of the Guardian. And you know that we are also we are also human resource and employment law professionals. And sometimes when you see this, it sometimes resembles things that you see. And you meet up and you see in the court with employers, and oftentimes you want to provide a nexus that, let me take KFC. KFC, good evening.
Hey, good afternoon, Marcus.
Yeah, good afternoon. How are you?
I know it's a sick year good and you already give me some fire. As well, investment coming in the country concerning oil and gas.
Well, yeah, gas. Gas to a large extent. Gas and to some extent steel.
Deal.
Steel.
Well, you know, life is about deals.
No, gas and steel.
Steel.
Yeah.
All right, gas and steel.
Yeah.
So that's say we have plenty of jobs and things for the people and them.
Well, we look forward to that. We have a large cadre of professional people in Trinidad and Tobago in that particular area, and therefore certainly some of them may be out of jobs now. So look forward to that. That is.
But that's a plus in the making the man. So the country will boom again. That's when I tell them, man. That's when the dragon go blow, you know. Alright, next time the dragon go blow.
Yeah,
but these are them looking promising and things will happen. But I see the building of such a police boats all over the country, that is for them for crime and prevention of crime and people going really full house and shooting and all them kind of things. That is good. But I see the building boots and I see no locals working, you know. It's only Spanish they give works on them, but the people out there need work too, you know.
Well, maybe the Spanish, I don't know, maybe the Spanish demonstrating that they need to work more than you, because they willing to work hard, they willing to work the hours, they willing to put in the time and that kind of thing. So maybe they are.
They're going with the contractors and them, so they're exploiting the Spanish and them.
No, not necessarily.
And denying the citizens and without giving them work.
Not necessarily.
But that's why them working wholly for 150 and eating bread and pepper, you know.
Well,
and when they say in the country, the locals them don't want to work. Plenty of locals who work and they're signing in Spanish and them all them business place all over is only Spanish. You go in and go see Spanish. You go there, only Spanish. Them young girls and young boys can't go to work. You know, long time, summertime, I'm thinking plenty used to go in them like ocean and get the work and thing. Not now, but start back to sin, but it's real sad. So I look to listen, we next vampires.
Nah, he can come yet, but he thinks, you know, the work market is really demand and supply. So think of it like this. If you and I could do the same thing, but you doing it, you want to do it for half of what I doing it for. Naturally, I might, and you're doing it good. Naturally, I may veer towards, you know, giving the man who doing it good at a lower price the work.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily.
We are good children and good women. Yeah, them doing work proper and nice too. Them business people, them they go in Ghana and taking a set of Guyanese and bringing a passport and learn to work. And the citizens, we crying out for their jobs and things. They didn't hungry job, they will be saying the Spanish and grabbing. It's a job in the country. Only want a job, only want hand of web people going by them business place and them for jobs. When I was writing over Patrick Street, they were a political businessman, fisherman and friend. He was building a big warehouse. He built the second warehouse. So me and my neighbor said, let me go by the man ask him for all the work. When we go on, they see not hiring nobody. You know, we sit down and we gap there thinking about 6 Spanish come. You know, you have all the Spanish on them.
No, but what does that say to you?
And he I'm a virgin and give you all a job.
But KFC, what does
that? Don't the government side where they will plan and hire the workers, the people, your citizens first. You have to dance home before you dance abroad. So, bless.
Yeah, I agree with you, KFC. The only thing is that if I have $10 and I could do more with it in terms of getting my work done, I would use the most effective and the most productive people to do it. And I'm not saying that the people of Trinidad and Tobago are not productive or not effective. All I am saying is that because given the Spanish, the work may not necessarily solve the problem, because we still have inflation and that kind of thing. So it means that they will probably be able to spend less of that, or they will be able to get less for what they have. But at the same time, the world, things are changing, and if a man is doing a job for cheaper than you are doing it for, and given you more productivity for it, then more than likely you either up your ante, negotiate your prices differently, or stay hungry. And that's just it. I mean, that's reality. So while it may not be the best thing, it wouldn't necessarily solve the problem. But at the end of the day, the individual contractor will want, or more than likely want, to get the best worker for the least. And therefore, the price of what he is producing may be able to come down, because, of course, the expenditure, the money he would have put out to do it, might be less, and therefore he could probably sell what he's doing, he's producing for less, and therefore create less inflation. Good evening, caller.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Matheson.
Yeah.
The thing about work ethic, and the thing about it is that some people, you workers, but other people want to work or they don't want to work. And I think you have a problem in this country. People probably don't like to work for 8 hours or 7 hours a day. They come to work, you employ them, and they want big money, That is one of the problems, because you come to work, you work in, you ask to do what they work, they come 8:30. When it's 10 o'clock, they want to go and buy something to drink, they get something to smoke. They come back when it's 11 o'clock. They want lunch. They go in for lunch. When it's 3 o'clock, they start to washing up their hands and they're ready to go. So you're not getting productivity. That's the problem. And therefore, nobody is spending enough. And they want 500, and some want $450 a day, 500 a day. So all these things, people talk about, and whether they want to work, probably they're quite comfortable with CPEP and URP. They could reach there 7:30, and by 9 o'clock, 9:30, they go on their way. I think that is the attitude that you find. Not in all instances. There are people who work and come to work and they work hard and they work fiercely for the people. But you have a vast number of people who don't really want to work. I've had that experience.
Yeah, what they want is money, but they don't really want to work.
And you can't talk to them, because from the time you talk, they start to talk back hard to you, and you don't know what will happen. So it's the attitude, and the Spanish would come. Sometimes some people pay them a fair wage, and they work hard.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what you want. So the attitude has to change. And again, what is happening in Trinidad here, you don't have many tradesmen again, all tradesmen I looking for. Sometimes you want a tradesman to do some work. You can't get tradesmen, masons and carpenters and that kind of thing. You can't get them. So I don't know, they have to embark on some program in order to have the young people acquire those skills, for the market.
It's interesting that we veer into this, we segue from where we were going to discuss this issue of productivity and workers' satisfaction and behavior in the workplace and that kind of thing. But this is interesting. This is an interesting topic, because to a large extent, things are getting harder. And if you have scarce resources, the resources will go to the ones that are productive, the ones that want to work, the ones that want to, willing to do what they have to do to get it. To a large extent, sometimes I feel a lot of workers in Trinidad want money, but they don't really want. They're not interested in your business. They're not interested in productivity.
So I am concerned in the sense that if you have investment taking place, you have people coming to invest in your country, and they may need more workers. They may need laborers. They may need those people who are highly skilled, and there's a shortage. It means you have to go out and get people from outside of the islands maybe to come down to work.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where and what is happening? You had somebody who's telling the people, and then when you think we're going to give you more CPEP work, more URP work, and all this other nonsense, boy, I tell you, this place is a 60 place.
Yeah, people still fighting for that.
But some people, some leaders, promising, telling them that.
Mm-hmm.
When we get back there, we're going to open more CPEP work for you, more URP work. So, in a sense, what is being encouraged here? So I'm saying that if investment, high-level investment begin to take place in this country, where are you going to get workers from? Because nobody employ nobody when they come. Those people coming from outside with their culture, their approach, how they see,
We are willing to settle for the crumbs, and we want to fight for that. That's what we want to fight for. We want to fight for the CPEP and URP and that kind of the crumbs. King of the crumbs.
So I don't know, because when these people come here, you can't go to work for 8 o'clock, and when it's 11 o'clock, you leave and you go outside and you go on somewhere, you go and buy some soft drink, you go and buy cigarette, you come back when it's 12 o'clock, you can't walk out the people.
Caller, it is always nice to have you in particular on the program. So, but join me after the break, because you're going for a break now. As soon as the break is over, you can call back.
You've got bills to pay, and so do we. Let's go pay some bills on the street 919 FM.
Peace of God be multiplied unto you in the precious name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. This is Redemption Hour, a gospel program where God will reveal His mind to you on how to live a fulfilled life and to please Him in all areas. Join Pastor Femi Afolabi, the National Overseer of Deeper Christ Life Ministry, Trinidad and Tobago, and other seasoned ministers for a time of divine encounter as they minister and pray for you every Saturday by 9 o'clock in the morning of this station, Street FM 91.9. Our church is Deeper Life Bible Church, number 1 Cochrane Street, opposite Tunapuna Police Station, Tunapuna. The times of our services are as follows: Sunday worship service, 9 a.m., Monday Bible study, 6 p.m., Thursday revival hour, 6 p.m. The redemption hour is a life-changing moment you cannot afford to miss. For special prayer or counseling, contact Pastor Femi Afolabi on 778-9933. God bless you as you listen to this program. Jesus is Lord.
When every hand start waving, it's KFC a craving. Extra crispy or spicy, it blazing. So when it comes to flavor, you know we can't lose. It's popcorn chicken in 3 kinds of sauce. So you dip on, you dip on, you dip on, you dip. KFC popcorn chicken, make you dance while you dip. Yes, you dip on, you dip on, you dip on, you dip. Somebody bring the KFC quick, I'm telling you. Get your hands on KFC's extra crispy or spicy popcorn chicken, starting at just $35. Or grab the winning combination: 3 pieces of chicken and 4 tenders for $79.95. KFC, it's finger licking good.
KFC and them rings, bring the sauce, bring the sauce. Come to the crunch like a boss, like a boss. And a ring, show me onion ring, onion ring, onion ring, in your ring, ding. Show me your onion ring, it's a ring, ding. Yes, it's a brand new thing called onion ring. Level up your order. Onion ring, chicken sandwich full of flavor. Add a ring to your twister. Somebody better go and tell the neighbor.
Show off your ring at KFC with the new onion ring chicken sandwich for $34.95. Or get a regular side of rings for just $15.
Add a ring, in your ding, ding. Add a ring, KFC onion ring.
TechFlex TT Limited, the #1 computer store in Trinidad and Tobago, has all your tech needs. We have the latest computers, powerful MacBooks, and affordable Chromebooks for school and work, providing new and refurbished options to suit everyone's budget. Also, we carry a variety of printer options and ink solutions for your home and office needs. Need repairs done? Our experienced technicians can solve your tech problems. Visit us now at any of our 2 locations, Wilson Road, Scarborough, next to Royal Castle, or Penco Street, Montrose, Chagonas. Call 235-4919 for more info. TechFlex TT Limited. Affordable tech. Exceptional service.
Blessings in the wonderful name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. You are invited to listen to the Final Hour broadcast heard every Monday
from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning on the Street 919 FM.
Hear my mom, Pastor Helen Garcia, and myself, Pastor Valentine Garcia Jr., preach the Word of God to the elderly, youth, and children. We can be contacted at 629-0113 or 623-8444. The church is located at 26 Prince Street in Port of Spain. We look forward to you joining us. God bless you.
As my life I lay it on the altar, as my life.
It's KFC in the cricket. Crunch up the crunch, crunch up the crunch, crunch up the crunch. Doing it the KFC way. Crunch up the crunch, crunch up the crunch, crunch up the crunch. TKR all the way. Passion inside the way. Bringing the energy. It's chicken for all the way. KFC got way. When we come out to play, nothing can bother way. Winning is part away. TKR all the way.
Grab your maximum crunch bucket today with 6 pieces of chicken, 1 regular popcorn chicken, 4 regular sides for only $144.95. Crunch after crunch with KFC.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
Yes, callers and listeners, we are back. And just before the break, we were talking about some good news. We were talking about the investment, the U.S. consortium, along with the IBIS steel company in Trinidad and Tobago, and the investment of $750 million US dollars investment in that project, the reopening of a steel plant that was in dormancy for almost 10 years. That, to a large extent, is a good investment. I mean, it's a good thing that is happening to Trinidad and Tobago, but that is not the only thing that is happening in this period. Yes, good evening, caller.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah. But before the break, we were talking about productivity.
Yeah.
And I would like us to probably have that kind of discussion, because sometimes we do not recognize how it affects not the citizens, but how it affects the economy. Poor productivity, and by the way, it isn't only poor productivity isn't only measured by people not working properly or coming to work and coming late and the amount of work you do, but it is also measured by other factors, other external factors, like sometimes road condition and traffic and all that kind of thing. But in particular, we were talking about the fact that because KFC would have raised it, that the Venezuelans are coming and willing to work for less than half of what some citizens are willing to work for. And employers seem to be favoring them over the locals. And he was having a problem with that. I was just saying that is just a demand and supply thing. If I could get labor cheaper to do the same thing, then I would naturally veer towards that. What do you say about that?
Well, it all has to do with the market, as you say, demand, supply.
Mm.
And yes, you have some employers at the contractual level, and they exploit workers. That's a fact. And they would pay them, if they could pay them nothing at all, give them nothing at all, they'll do that. But you have those who are honest, those who are fair to workers. But workers, again, I'm saying it's an attitude that has, and that is not today, that existed long time ago, and it has exacerbated over the years with this dude and URP, because I grew up over during that period of time. So they've grown. It's a kind of cultural thing that we don't have to work for a whole day, right? And that's the thinking, that's the mentality, and I'm saying that it has exacerbated over the years, and you see it with even the CPEP people. Some of them work very hard. They work hard, and others don't want to work at all. You see it in the regional corporations and those bodies. It is much more prevalent there.
Sometimes when you think about the one thing that I would have agreed with the Petrotrin situation was the workforce. Now, I can't agree with closing Petrotrin because I didn't think that in any way any of the studies indicated that they should have closed the plant in the way they would have done it, right? Or they would have reallocate certain things in the way they should have done it, right? By closing a whole section. But clearly, places like Wassa and Petrotrin and that kind of thing were seen as large URP projects.
Yeah.
Because people had been working for a lot of money, and by the way, that too interferes with inflation. But people working for large sums of money, and we won't get any kind of productivity.
And still not get any kind of productivity. And this is where I look at Minister Padarata dealing now directly with the people. He has to get these people. You can't have 15, 20 people on a truck, a road, some pipeline, and 15, 20 people just stand up on the side of the road, 3 men working or 2 men working. That is not good at all. I mean, you would have inherited that, but you have to deal with that. These people have to be productive, and you have leaks all over the place, and you have all. When people call and they say, "Well, look, I ain't getting water because there's a leak and what's that." Sometimes you have people operating at the level of the take the calls and whatnot, and for sometimes 2 weeks, you still have the problems. You ain't getting water because they're not fixing the leak and all that kind of thing. A pump down. A pump taking a month before they could repair the pump. Either you have good engineers or you don't have engineers. And if you don't have engineers, get engineers.
Correct. I see that all the time. Sometimes we just have people just sitting around, holding positions, and they themselves don't even understand what they need to do. What was the real ethos of they being there?
Well, that is it. And the last time I heard, some time ago, I heard Mr. Padarat saying that he looking at the managerial and the question of supervision and accountability, but I don't know to what extent he has been successful in attaining that or achieving that. But these are the things that the public service as a whole too. I mean, it's something you inherited, but you have to deal with it.
And sometimes you get the impression that we employ more people than we really need to do the job. And that too is putting a strain on everything else, because if we have a whole set of people employed, we're paying everybody good money, therefore the demand for goods and services will be higher, and there will be more people willing to pay for the higher for it. But when there are scarcity, you will have inflation.
Yeah, and one of the things that I look at people in the private sector. If you look at people in the grocery who work in those supermarkets and whatnot, if you go to Price Mart and those places, people work and they work how many hours? 8 hours a day, and they're on their feet and they're working, and the salary and the income is not as lucrative as those people who work with the government in these regional corporations and all these other, and they work hard. And when you see the difference in terms of the attitude towards work,
correct,
and how is that fair? You have people going to if I'm a policeman, had to work from 8 o'clock. So how many hours he has to work, and when he's going to work on a morning, while they're going home.
Listen,
they're going home,
Listen,
they read it, returning home.
Listen, if you have been managing private sector business for years, and then you just go into state public sector to manage that's a big that would then create a whole cognitive dissonance, everything for you, because when you understand how state workers operate, is very, very different from how private sector operates.
Yes.
The expectations are different, everything. So they somehow feel like they have when you listen to the people who would have lost, and I am not in any way rejoicing anybody losing their jobs and that kind of thing, but we have to be cognizant of what is happening in Trinidad and Tobago, why we need to be more productive, and how high productivity will work for us. And if you don't understand that, go places like Barbados, and because it happens right in the Caribbean.
Yeah, because in Barbados, they refer to Trinidadians as Saga boys. Apart from saying Trinidadians, they talk about Saga boys. And who's a Saga boy? When you're a Saga boy, you don't like to work. You're liming. You're a limer. You're liming on the streets and all that kind of thing, having good time in a bar and drinking. That's the way they proceed. They're not proceed. That's the way they see Trinidadians. You have in Barbados, you have had certain construction booms. It's not that the people come from St. Lucia, they come from Belize and all these countries because of the shortage of labor.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not that Bajan and want to work. They work, and they work hard. In Trinidad, a different thing. In Grenada, you work hard. The Grenadians work hard.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And the Grenadians, when they come here, sometime over time they develop the same attitude. But most of them, they're hard workers.
Mm-hmm. All the Caribbean people is telling the same thing. Trinidad is not a real place.
I'm telling you, and it's sickening.
We don't really want to work.
No, they don't want work.
So
and what is sad, instead of the leaders trying to encourage them to change and develop a different attitude in terms of, for work, they're encouraging that.
I remember as a little boy when after Carnival and thing, when the government used to be urging, hey, fet over back to work. You remember Chambers?
Yes, right.
And that was a reason for that.
Yes.
Because people just going in that mode, that inertia kind of mode, and you just want to work, but you want money.
Yeah, but listen to what is going to happen. I know certain people, they were working on the port. When they go on the port, they had a kind of standby kind of thing. People go down on the port so when they go, you find that they go back home. And then if they, in the evening or so, they may go back out. And, I can't really describe it at this point in time. But it was something that I found very strange, that they get paid for it, they go back home. That kind of standby kind of arrangement. People weren't working, and that is because they have set over. But the government at that time knew, but it was political again, expediency. It was good for politics, because those are the people who would vote them back into power. So therefore, they turn up but he had no other choice after the collapse in oil prices and the downturn in the economy. He was then saying, and he realized the palace state of the economy, he was telling them, now, hey, listen, we can't go on with this thing again, you know. We set over the way, the attitude towards work has to change, but it was too late.
Mm-hmm.
The damage was done already because you had, as you said, you had persons in Ministry of Works overstaffed, people were, you know, if you know the amount of people who worked in Ministry of Works at that time,
yeah,
right, and all these other ministries during that oil boom, that period, 1973 to 1982, right? That was the crucial point, and that was the heights of the oil boom.
So we just got a feel or a habit of, you know, freeness, you know. You had, when you talk about Ministry of Works, you know, long time the Ministry of Works used to have a program. I think it was Jude, right?
Yeah.
And that program was doing the same thing URP doing. Yeah. And now you had probably within over the last year or so, you had regional corporation, you had CPEP, you had URP, and you had another program, all of which with the mandate to do the same thing.
Same thing as duplication and that sort of
thing. Right? But you still have people not seeing the value in probably reducing these programs and having people understand, or people be retrained to do things, to create productivity, to get real work.
Mr. Matterson, my fear is that we have moved from boom to bust, and we have seen it from 1973 to 1982, and culminated, but that was the height of the oil boom, and in 1986. Right? And you have to start all over again to rebuild the economy, and people, you know, that culminated in, you know, the fiasco, the disaster in 1990. You have had the same, you had a gas boom, because it's two energy booms that they had. One was an oil boom and one was a gas boom from 1999 to 2008 or thereabout, or 2009. Right? And we end up in a bust. Same problem again. We come through. And my fear is that the same thing is going to happen. Because the attitude haven't changed.
Right.
They haven't changed.
And it is because we have, I mean, we haven't, people have been become so accustomed to just doing to mediocrity, right? It has become normal in Trinidad and Tobago, and therefore it's like a sickness.
Yes.
So you hear a lot of people complaining every day. Listen, if you just think, if you just for a moment think, you're home. You're broken, you're not working. Think you have internet. Think it has so many things you can do. You can learn. And you could get into your own business and be productive. Do something for Trinidad and Tobago. It is very, very difficult. Sometimes you hear the complaints, you hear the concerns and that kind of thing. And people who are not even handicapped, people who have all the senses, people who have both hands and feet, all the fingers, the eyes, everything, and complaining about things that are right in front of them.
Well, that attitude, I don't know how they're going to change that, but you know, but the politicians again, and that's why I come back to politicians, because they're the leaders in the community, and if they organize and they have programs, and if the school has a lot to do with it, well, schooling has a lot to do with it, but you have to, how you develop that culture change, the cultural change that is required here. How do you educate the people with respect to I don't have a sense in terms of how you develop a country, how a country develops. I don't understand it. I don't think that they understand the pain when, in fact, they don't produce and the economy fall into a slump. How the pain that they feel, because they're talking about who's hungry and who this and that and the other, and they're hungry. and all these things, and people seem to be impotent, people not wanting to do things for themselves. They don't even want to go and probably, create some avenue for employment, self-employment and all that. And they're just there, and I don't know how they're gonna change that.
And,
I don't know.
And this is not to say, this conversation, some people like to take what you say, misunderstand it, and just go about saying things that you didn't say. This is not to say that employers, there are genuine situations where employers take advantage of workers.
Yes, that's a fact.
Right? And one of the things we need to understand also is that if everybody, and this is for the government, if the majority of people working, then generally things will be better because people will be spending money, will be earning more taxes, and the economy will be turning around. But because people also have to understand that they have a role to play in this.
Yeah. Because I am not making a generalized statement or general statement with respect to the work ethic. Because and I'm not totally critical about people who work in the CPEP and the URP.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, you have people there who work very hard. If you know when you have floods and all these things, and you have after Carnival, they clean up the street and they, hard working. You have those who are very hard working. When you had crisis in Grenada, you had people from the CPEP, they went out over there to help with the floods and the hurricane and all this kind of cleanup and all that. They hard working, but you have a large number of those people who don't want to work,
mm-hmm.
who feel that the state owe them a living. They could just skulk around, as people say, and get paid, draws a pay. Whereas others have to work hard, and I am not criticizing to say everybody lazy. You have people who work hard, but you have those who don't want to work,
mm-hmm.
and they want to draw a pay.
Yeah.
And you have, again, politicians, and this is the problem, who seek to encourage that all because of office.
Mm-hmm.
For office.
Well, those politicians also have a CPEP and URP. Well, I don't like to bundle CPEP and URP. But those politicians also have a URP mentality to it because they see being a politician the same thing. You understand? So they become career politicians, and they look forward with bated breath. It's like they're salivating around election time, knowing that the same thing what they experienced before will happen again.
Well, the thing about it is that you could be a politician with a CPEP mentality. I'm not talking about everybody in CPEP, but those who, as we say, who just hang around.
Mm-hmm.
So you could be and you're a politician like that. They do nothing in the constituency. Nothing. They just, as you say, they just come around and hope that they will be elected again, but they do not. And this is why I just want to stray away from that, or segue away from what to talk about what Alexander is doing. And Alexander must be encouraged. That's the model.
Which one are the Alexander?
The Alexander in Tunapuna.
All right, yeah.
In terms of what he's doing within his constituency.
I'm not too familiar with I know that the building is police post, but KFC was saying when you look around, you not see no locals doing it. Who was doing those police posts?
Well, I don't know who's doing it, who are the contractors and whatnot. But again, but listen, sometimes I can't say the contractor again. Who is the contractor? Sometimes contractors, if they are bidding, whether they bid low and whatnot, and therefore if the bid is low, it means that they are to get something because they are to get cheap labor.
Yeah, exactly. And that's business. That's business.
I don't know, but the fact remains is that.
So if you are accustomed working for $550 or $600 a day as a mason, and they tell you could only get $300 or $350, and you don't want to take it, but I sorry for you. There are people who will take that. $350 a day. $350 a day is almost is 10,000 something a month.
Well, that's it. But the point about it here is that even you talking about he doesn't understand the status of those venues. those venues are somewhat regularized here, you know. Because under the refugees, they are refugees. Remember
that too.
And therefore, they're entitled to work, just like you. So.
And just like your family who went to New York and that kind of thing for years.
Because these people, if you give them people's safety, you give them the ID card and whatnot, they regularize them here to a certain extent, right? A limited extent. They can't stay in Trinidad and work. How they going to eat?
Exactly.
You tell them you could stay here, you know, and you give them ID and all these different things. So you don't know that they had to get jobs too. They had to feed their family. They had to live.
Correct. Because otherwise you'll have more social problems.
Yes.
And more crime and all that kind of thing.
So to say that the venue is entitled to work just like...
To me, it's all part of the ecosystem. Everybody need to work. In fact, everybody needs to work. You just had to compete because it's a job market. So you had to compete. You had to either up your ante, up your skills, or reduce your price or something.
Yeah. So this thing about Venny this and Venny getting work and Venny this and they giving Venny here under is legally here, you know. And if he's legally here and he has his family here, usually Venny has to eat, you know. He has to pay rent too.
Correct. And that's
therefore
something
he has to be employed.
That's something that is difficult for some people to understand. I mean, that people just eating on the venues for whatever reason. I don't know.
Probably they don't look at it in that way. Some people just they haven't thought it through.
I mean, it's in the best interest that they're working, as a matter of fact.
Yes. So that is where we are. This is why they talk about venues coming here, they have to register and all these different things. And again, you're talking about this because they are seen as refugees, whether economic. I don't have the full details on it, but they have some legitimacy in Trinidad.
Yeah. Correct.
And people have to understand that. So this question how much they're working for and who working for, market is a free market. So who are looking for the best deal? Contractor looking for a bargain. If you come there and you say, well, look, yes, it may not be fair, it could be exploitative, but the fact remains is that's the name of that's the way the game is played. It's played.
Correct. It's a labor market. And if you could produce for less than, and the same thing, if you could give me the same thing for less than what X given me it for, then I would go with you.
Yeah. But what these people have to do in terms of they can be creative if they can come together as tradesmen and whatnot, as laborers, because you have a lot of work in those communities also. They can't get people to do work all about the place, and therefore, and what you have also is people not wanting any and everybody to come in their place.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know a guy who was once a manager at this hospital in Okori there, and he brought some, he lived in Carnage, and he had some work doing in his place. He had some workmen from Belmont all about. And while they're working there, they're scouting around the man's place, go inside the man's place and almost kill the man. Right? A pleasant gentleman, you know. So not when people come to work in your place, not everybody wants, they have to be very skeptical in terms of who they want to come in the place to do work. You have a lot of work to do, you don't want any and everybody in your place. And therefore they can form little cooperative among themselves, labor, whatever it is, and advertise and, you know, get jobs for the people, because the people may want a mason, they may want a captain, they may want a laborer, but you register and those people there, that is critical. So there are ways in which they can you know, deal and operate in order earn fairly, those people who really want to work.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a problem, not every, you don't want everybody come in your place. While they're in your place, they rush you inside your place and put rope on your neck. So you have to be very careful.
That is so unfortunate.
Yeah,
the state at which we are in Trinidad and Tobago, with everything. But what we are seeing in terms of the investment that I would have indicated with the Valinium company and the IWER Steel in Point Lisas, to me, that is a step in the right direction for the government, and certainly it gives them some more goodwill, in my opinion, because at the end of the day, what you want from a government is to provide that space for people to breathe in Trinidad and Tobago. And if we have the government doing active things to provide jobs and to provide investment or to get new investment and that kind of thing in Trinidad and Tobago, and we've seen it happen, this is real, and this is something that maybe will go a long way for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. The same thing with the gas deals, the BP gas deal and the Mannequin and the Kukunya natural gas field. That too is a good place, and that is something good happening in Trinidad and Tobago that would redound for the betterment of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. So all these things are things that that I see as good news. We know we have a lot of expectation for 2027 with respect to gas in particular, and that is something we look forward to. So we are seeing maybe that the government is beginning to climb out of the situation that they would have found themselves in, because of course what would have happened, they would have made a lot of promises on the election campaign, and we are seeing now that some of those things they are getting some room to breathe in terms of these new investment and these new initiatives. I don't know what you think about that.
Well, Mr. Martinson, nobody said it was going to be easy, right? And when you take over an economy in the palace state that this economy would have been in, and with crime rate and all the social problems in it, school problems in terms of children, misbehaving and that kind of thing. Governance, you have unemployment, high levels of unemployment. Mm-hmm. You have people with wages, wage demand and all that kind of thing. Some people not having an increase in salary for more than 10, 15 years to 14 years. Mm-hmm. It is not an easy, any government taking over a country in such a poor state, they would be faced with difficulty, with challenge. It wouldn't be easy. And you see it in England. You see it with Keir Starmer and all these people. You saw it with Sunak and this guy Rishi Sunak and all these people. Liz Truss and all these people and that. They struggle with the economy. Mm-hmm. The question of their leaving the EU and all that would have exacerbated or worsened the unemployment situation there, because people can't go over to Europe to secure employment, nurses and all these different things, nursing and all that, people in different employment, different skills. So it's challenging. And even in America, they have problems with unemployment too. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying that once your economy is as it was, or as it is in Trinidad and Tobago, the road wouldn't be easy. And they know that too, because most of them went through 1986. They went through 1986. Mm-hmm. There was a mass exodus from Trinidad to Canada and all these different places.
Yeah, correct.
So not that they don't know, and not that they don't know that the economy was in bad shape. In fact, as I told them the last time...
But across in those places right now, they experiencing on a scale not much different from Trinidad and Tobago, the same thing, you know. Because they have high inflation. A burger used to be $4 and $5, now it's $13 and $14.
Yes.
So it's not much different. It's just that they working for it in US or Canadian dollars, but it is very expensive to live the same way across there in those places. The thing is, I think with the closure of URP and to some extent CPEP and that kind of thing, and I'm still seeing maybe that might be it will be sad for another government to come and try to implement the same thing in the same way. Maybe implement something that will be more productive, but what the government would have done here is kind of wean people off of that. And I'm sure a number of those persons would have found more productive forms of employment since. Because people don't remain unemployed for very long.
Yeah, this URP and this CPEP and all these and sometimes makeshift employment. You saw the NAR was faced with the same situation, you know.
Mm-hmm.
When they came, they closed down the same dude and all these different things. They brought about, I think, lid and all that. And all these things created problems, you know. The same problems with respect to what is going on with CPEP and URP now. So you can't, these are the things you can't touch, because those are the things that the opposition control and they can be easily manipulated. And most of them, when a man hungry, sometimes apparently there's no room for reason, right? There's this desperation, and people manipulate and massage them.
Correct.
So that is where it is, and most government have to guard against that. But the fact remains, things could not go the way it was going.
Yeah, it can't continue to go the way
it can't.
Because what will happen is that we will be bleeding, and which is what was happening also. I mean, it's like we know what the situation is. I mean, we went through a period of what we would call the Dutch disease. We didn't do what we were supposed to do. Mr. West, stay on the line. Let me take this other caller here. Good evening, caller. Mr. Bataria, how are you going? I have Mr. West on the line also.
Wow. Good afternoon, Mr. President.
Yes. How are you? I know you have a different perspective to the discussion.
Well, yes, because this discussion that you all are having, Mr. West is older than I am.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. West, since I'm a young man, we've been having this discussion. Trinidad and Tobago, a man in 1976,
mm-hmm.
since 1976, will leave Trinidad. He has a government job, going to work for 5 in the morning in corporation and finishes at 9 and 10. And he will leave Trinidad for a holiday, go to the US, it was much easier in them times, and work 2 or 3 jobs for the day. And then he done turn around and tell you that he ever going on is $2.35 to 1. That was his logic. And come back here and still lie on the work.
So you're making our point then?
Well, you see, our point been singing this song for over and over. So my point is that I have this administration presently was a part of a particular union which is carrying workers. That's how they get where they get here. And dragging several unions presently now along with them. And before, you see, all they say 2027, everything will be nice. But none of these things, this administration are going to be nice, put into place. Because it was said to us, tighten our belts, and in 2027, things will be improved. They say no to the 4%. This government have money. They could pay. The same thing with the unions. I tell a young man growing up, driving all the way down to Labrie. And I seen a place called Dunlop making tires in Trinidad and Tobago. I get older, a Goodyear tire, qualifier tire made in Trinidad and Tobago in them time is $350 per qualifier. making right here. The union make noise, they want more salary, because as you just outlined, if you make more noise for more salary, and I have to increase the price of my product, and I used to sell 10, and now I'm only selling 8, but I still have 6 people, my profit gone, so I had to get rid of 3. That's all. That is how it does work. So until we start teaching in school economics from small, we will continue to have people like KFC who call and talk that rubbish. Because that is why you think all the people, Chinese are in Spanish, Syrian are in Spanish, Indian are in Spanish. Why?
Because they have the supply and
and don't tell me it's cheap labor.
No, it's not, but it has to do also
with maybe
attitude.
So depends on which part they employ.
Yes,
but
correct.
I go in supermarkets. I go in well-established supermarkets in Trinidad and Tobago, and you know who's the manager? You know who's in charge of the meat section? You know who's in charge of repairing the air condition? You understand my point?
Mm-hmm.
They fill a role in Trinidad and Tobago where the average Trinidadian didn't educate themselves within a particular line. And here we're going on. Some of these people, we look at them as economic migrants. Some of them were doctors, university professors, some of them engineers, some of them.
And trust me, they'll reach back there. But with the attitude they have, they'll reach back there.
And that, but I mean, I see a man selling burger and buy a car.
Mm-hmm.
He's selling burger in St. James in the night and he's driving a car now. They on a scooter with a child carrying them to school. You and I not doing that. We looking to jump in a taxi from Sawa to reach 6th Avenue. Them walking. And we would go to America and do the very same thing that they are doing here. And so when Dr. Eric Williams made this statement, we have a phrase, no, sir, how it go again? Anyhow,
which one?
Productivity.
Fet over back to work?
That was one of the statements. But you know what enlightened me? We got independence around the same time, and you see that is where I continue to blame the opposition for the position, because again I was lying to you. They promised public servants just now under the PNM. But Dr. Rowley, the former Prime Minister, said, "Hey, things are going to get better. You know? Our economy, we have this, we have that." They wrote a letter all the way to America to tell them, we haven't dealings, sanctioned Trinidad and Tobago because we haven't dealings with Venezuela. All that talk them talking there. None of them up to now, in 16 months, able to jump on a plane and go down to Venezuela. None of them. So we was negotiating with Venezuela, Mr. Matterson. You and I, you have the gas, I is your neighbor. You and I talking. And then we bring the Americans. I don't care if it's Republicans, Democrats. Then we bring the American businessmen, and we would, the negotiation that I have with you, I tell them, this is my negotiation, and they what I have to get. And this is what we want. Now, BP talking to Venezuela instead of Trinidad and Tobago, and come and tell me yesterday I gained 20%. And I supposed to feel real good, Mr. Matterson.
With which with the cross border.
Cross border. And here we're going on.
No.
They're talking like they did
20% is what they are selling to NGC.
We own 60%. Right. So that is what we get in.
We own 64% of the deal because the monarchy is Trinidad.
But here we're going on. You see, we're missing the point. Before the former Prime Minister left, he already had a deal cut. If there was an issue with getting cross-border gas, we will take our percentage on our side. We forget that part. Let's assume that is what's taking place. We are taking our gas from our side. It ain't no cross-border because we ain't drilling no gas from here to go over there. Me and the Venezuelan Prime Minister say that yet.
No, but it's BP. What?
That is what I'm saying. I have not heard the Venezuelan president said that she spoke to BP and BP is having a cross-border deal and sending their gas from Venezuela to Trinidad and Tobago. I ain't hear that no way yet. As I just outlined to you, the former Prime Minister said when they had the problem with the OFAC license, this is what we're going to do. We're going to talk to Venezuela and we're going to take our gas from our side. You You understand my point, sir? So you see this whole junta that them trying to believe that they could fool me with that? No, Mr. Matterson. I've sit down and wait. I have tightened my belt with the intention at 20. So it doesn't matter what government come into office. I have seen the economic outcome of what is transpiring long time. So I have tightened my belt long time. And waiting that here we will see. Just what is they assume is going to happen, we already know that because we had this plan in train more than 20 years. It just happened that the present administration, we sell out our birthright, Mr. Matterson, against the CARICOM, to have a man bring a radar here, to lock up a man in Venezuela and stifle Cuba. We have no electricity and people suffering. We could get some gas, Mr. Matterson. You know that is what we did? We give up our birthright for a man to use a radar here to pick up a next man that he don't like. And then, you know all that talk? But they did that survey just recently. All them boat and all them things they blow up. You know that has not slowed down the drug scene in America, right? That has not curbed the amount of drug influx in America. That has not slowed that down. So I don't know what the Prime Minister is boasting about. Apparently my Prime Minister is selling out my serenity. What I did under Dr. Eric Williams by taking back Waterfield, taking back the largest airbase in Waterfield, and taking back Chagaramas, and tell them, yeah, we're going on. We pay all you off, go back. That ain't happening again. I hear in Alexander saying, yeah, we're going on. Them police posts look like we were American soldiers in those police posts. Hey, Mr. Matterson. That is where we reach to. And we studying about productivity. That is where we reach to. I reach back where I have a master over me. My democracy is no more mine anymore. I can't even talk. Because I have a man I don't know how to describe and could pull a PDO. Can't even pronounce it properly like myself, you know. Can't even make a proper statement yesterday when they asked him about this.
Mr. Bata, yeah. Listen to this. The same OFAC license would have had to be granted by the U.S., correct?
Yes.
So whether it happened under the PNM or the UNC is the same thing.
Doesn't matter. I understand all of that. The point I am making to you is that these people said that the dragon is dead. You see all them things we put in all the eggs in one basket. Don't care what the government told the population. Here we're going on. Hold on.
Yeah, but what we talking about here is not the dragon,
No, I am talking about economics of Trinidad and Tobago. Okay. Because we are hoping, because let me explain you something. This gas that we're talking about, again, is going to come in 2027, somewhere 2028. This steel plant, they started with 200 and something million first. The only how that steel plant could run is if we get gas, that's all. I can't pee in a bottle and send that down the road.
Right.
So it had to run on gas.
Right.
The only time we get in this excessive gas because we already short. And I'm asking the question. I have train 1 right now at a standstill. Which is more productive if I get extra gas? Start train 1. Or take the gas and put it. And here we're going on all the steel I'm talking about. Them looking for something else from the steel. And what they have a special name they call. They pronounce what this company.
Volume.
So this whole that we going and create a steel mill. Yeah, what I want? Vanadium. Two different issues to what the population actually understand what's taking place. Yeah, you know.
Well, I did indicate that there are other broader geopolitical implications.
Because why? Chinese government decide to hold on all the raw material that they could get from Africa and decide they are the control on the stock market in America to run to them. So our Prime Minister decided whenever we go join up with Trump and we going down. So right now, Trump, if he comes out of office, I'm waiting for the midterm to come in. If he comes out of office, he could end up just like Netanyahu, and our Prime Minister could go down the same road. Enjoy your evening, Mr. Matters.
Thank you. I don't necessarily see things that way, caller. I think while this might have happened anyway, different government negotiates things differently, and the Prime Minister did say that to a large extent. Caller, you on the line?
Yeah.
Right. You heard what Mr. Barataria had to say.
Well, I don't take Mr. Barataria seriously. He running around now like a headless chicken. he cannot fathom what has been the developments over the last 24 hours. He all over the place.
Yeah, correct.
Right? He's like a headless chicken, right? So he, right where he is there, he's confused. He's all over. He realizes he's touching on all he's jumping here.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I would have to agree. It sounds more political than anything else. But the thing, it sounds more political because at the end of the day, the Prime Minister did indicate that this was an agreement she had started in 2015, February 2015 sometime. And she's happy to see that it is coming to fruition right now. But more than that,
I think some people listen. They like to listen to Barataria, but I don't take Barataria seriously. Right? I don't take him seriously at all because I don't think he's all with it. Right? And he has a role. He's playing a role. He has a role to play. So every day he has a role. He has to do what he's been directed to do. But if you look at Barataria and you really seriously go into what he's saying, most of it don't really make sense. No research, no nothing. Just jump in here, jump in there, this, that, and that.
You see, at the end of the day, caller, to be honest with you, I look at things a little differently. I look at Trinidad and Tobago. You see what the PNM did and what the UNC do and all that kind. That's not important to me because if we fail, all of us fail. If the UNC fail, everybody fail. The same thing with the PNM, and we saw what was happening. So the thing is, if the Prime Minister see the diplomatic value in aligning herself in a certain way with the US to get certain things done, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, it benefits in Trinidad and Tobago. And you know something? What we don't understand with that Venezuela issue, the CIA appears to have been working behind the scene. And the same woman, Delcy, she in my opinion, who sold out Maduro with through the CIA. So the thing is, while Delcy might have appeared as though she is against the Prime Minister, our present Prime Minister, it doesn't appear so now. She's doing what the US wants right now.
Well, apparently she's gonna leave. The thing about it here is this: is that if you have a situation there with respect to the gas in Venezuela, they were going after the dragon gas, or everything was on dragon, right? And people were telling them you ought not to put all your eggs in one basket. The fact remains is yes, and the question of Trinidad is not involved. I see you are pains to tell him that it's BP and Shell and those people who are dealing with Venezuela, with Delcy and those people. It is not Trinidad government who is dealing with that. And many months ago, I said it's best that Trinidad stay out of it. Right? So when Shell and BP deals with, would have dealt with Venezuela, I don't think that they could tell Venezuela not to supply Trinidad with gas at Point Lisa, Atlantic, and all these different things. They can't tell them. If Trinidad, they could say, look, listen, we don't want that deal again, and we put a halt to it. And then the question here again, and somebody made mention of it this morning, dealing with Venezuela, and I want to be quite frank. People talk about, and even I think he spoke about it. He talked about they would invest, or in fact investment or capital go where it is welcome. And the fact remains, people go back to the history of Venezuela in terms of expropriation. We have yet the Conoco experience. So when I heard Trinidad and this deal and this government, if this present government had dealings with Venezuela, at any point in time they could say, well, no, we're not satisfied with this deal, You have to go over this deal because so and so and so and so and so, because they were quite friendly with the outgoing government. Right? So I am not too concerned with that because you're dealing with Shell. You tell him only 20%, he doesn't want to understand that at all. He ain't going with that at all. He knows. The fact that the there was a deal that was struck in somewhere in 2015, February 2015.
Right, that was with the mannequin and the Cucunia.
And I knew about that a long time ago, but they played that down. They never played it to say, well, look, that's the continuation of the relationship with
but a significant part of that was in Trinidad waters, in Trinidad domain.
Right. So that is where it's at. But I think that this deal that what has happened over the last 24 hours, you have some people who really can't catch themselves because things are not working the way they would have liked it to work. And there's an opening, and there's a chance that this country would get out of the economic problems that it's faced with, and therefore it would make it more difficult for them to succeed.
I only hope that when we do get out of it, we do so and we remain out of it using efficiency and good productivity. And when I say efficiency, and we don't go back into those kind of make work programs and that kind of, we develop our people to be all productive, to be able to produce things, to be able to learn new skills and be productive so that we could generate a different kind of income through our productive pursuits.
Well, I would hope so also. I would hope that we don't fall back into that the old ways. Or in fact, I don't know how old it is, but the current ways of doing things, the way we do business here in terms of employment and that kind of thing, the work ethics and all that kind of thing. But you see, you have to get rid of corruption too.
Well, yeah, that's the next thing. That's probably even more serious than everything else.
That disease, I don't
But
know.
Mr. West, again, we're going for a break.
Yeah, no problem.
And when we return, we will continue this discussion. Yeah.
You've got bills to pay, and so do we. Let's go pay some bills on the street 919 FM.
Team Colors of We and Gold Diggers Entertainment present Cheers to Life X. When we say X, we mean 10.
From your wake up this morning, you know it.
10 years of entertainment on the scene where love and togetherness meet. On Sunday, August 16th, aboard the luxurious Embassy, boarding at King's Wharf at 3 p.m. and set sail promptly at 4. Featuring DJ Link, Ever Slick and Juice Store, Kryptonite Sound, Schematic Sound, and Rough Cut International. Advance tickets are $200. Contact 495-6685, 347-7867, and 732-0786. Cheers to Life 10. Rhythm and wave.
Mommy, your dream came true. I gonna walk down the aisle.
Finally, show me a ring.
Up the plane.
What?
With KFC and Copa Airlines down the aisle promotion.
Well, take me on the trip now.
Win an all expenses paid trip for two to one of 5 Copa Airline destinations with KFC. To enter, you can either buy an onion ring sandwich and upload the receipt, or upload a cool pic of you enjoying your onion rings with the hashtag #ShowMeARing. 2 winners will be selected, and weekly KFC vouchers are up for grabs too. See social media for details. Promotion ends September 6th and is approved by the NLCB.
Join us.
Strictly local radio show, blazing the best positive hits out of TT. Hottest radio show.
Welcome. You are now locked in.
Every Saturday, 6 to 8 p.m., blazing the very best in Trinbago music and more, sending the heartbeat of the Twin Islands straight to the world.
This service is a massive communication product that aims to provide a new media platform for local TT entrepreneurs.
You're now locked into one of the hottest radio shows. Send us your voice notes or call in live and rep your district. Whether you're in East, West, North, South, or Sweet Tobago, this is your show, your sound, your culture. Hottest radio show. Strictly local, hosted by the one and only DJ Flex 868. Don't miss it. Every Saturday, 6 to 8 p.m. Only on the streets 91.9 FM. The vibes, the culture, the sound of Trinbago.
We blaze all the best in TT. Hashtag rep your district.
It's KFC in the cricket. Crunch up the crunch. Crunch up the crunch.
sides for only $144.95. Crunch after crunch with KFC.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
Yes, listeners, we are back. This is the Third Empire Show. And of course, you are listening to Stephen Matheson. On the show today, we began by talking about some of the revitalization projects that are happening in Trinidad and Tobago, especially with the steel plant at Point Lisas and the U.S. investment of $750 million, that's almost or just a little over $2 billion TT dollars. That, to a large extent, has we've in that conversation, we veered out to the issue of productivity and other issues in Trinidad and Tobago. And we take your call. Good evening, Mr. Bataria, again.
Yeah, Mr. Matheson. I hear you all that all over the place. I'm all over the place because I'm making a point. The reason why we're here in this, how to put it, lack of intelligence of people is because of the opposition that we have. The way they sway the population. Right now, I have a ton load of car. We talking about we have a problem for foreigners, right? And people feel nice to sit down in the little square box, turn on the air conditioner and go home. We talk about productivity, right? And they just recently, a few months ago, complaining. We spend, how much hours in traffic jam. And then they work it out, how much hours it is to work out a year, how much it works a month. And then work out how much productivity we lost.
Yes, correct. I see that all the time.
Right. But I had somebody, I wonder if it was going to give me a rapid rail. And they say we're spending too much money on our feasibility study and they come into office and make me go to import a car now 8 years old.
Well,
so why buy a car?
I agree with you. Maybe that was a better short-sighted incident.
That's not a bit, Mr. Matheson. They took the entire population down a road from a rail system where we should have been here now, 20 years after, still importing 8-year-old car and spending all the money in U.S. when the same man could have go to the bank because they were going on. The bank ain't have nobody around to buy no car. So all them car dealers and all them little side thing, they ain't going to have that. So the bank will have a surplus of money. So instead of getting money to buy a car, somebody will get money to buy a house. That ain't happen. That is how economics does work, Mr. Matheson. If you care about our nation, not that I'm going all about. I am pointing out the level of hypocrisy that I have from this present administration throughout the decades of... Let us want to talk about Singapore. There is no way in Singapore. Look, let me point out something to you. I see the Guardian Express is asking a question to the present Prime Minister. What was her cost of her diplomatic travels in that time that she been in office? Where did she go and XYZ? Right to the what they call it, integrity committee or wherever it is, and they keep delaying it whether or not it's secret information that they should. Munilal went in the parliament and asked the former Prime Minister. Former Prime Minister bring $10 million, and this is where I went. This is why I can't get that from this administration. And the same people when they're in opposition want to know, Mr. Matheson. No, we shouldn't know. Level of hypocrisy. So it's not that I'm going all about, I'm pointing out the group of people that we have in the parliament are not patriotic. And if they want to know how, I tell them we have 41 seats. They don't ever put up 41 candidates. Never. They always look for the loudest person, especially if they're black, against the PNM and Lavanti and Tobago and all about and put them up. That's what they do. Right now I have an attorney general and what you call him, minister, what? Well, Homeland Security. Check them out. If the PNM will put a person of Alexander character and figure of speech in the parliament with they'd make 99 million memes. Don't worry, I'll give him time. So we must drop with standard because a particular party is in office. That's what we have here, Mr. Matheson, and we must accept that. Come on, hypocrisy. And we can't go no way. When we have a group of people like that, when they're outside, it is bad. And when they're inside, it all of a sudden becomes good. If we go and buy some OPVs, they write all the way to the Australian government to tell them that Dr. Rowley and the government and the same people tell me the war is not on seas, on land. Sell this the blame that I have and turn around now to realize that Venezuelan coming in and the same people we started trying to stop the Venezuelan, the Coast Guard shoot at one, the same people turn around and take the same lawyer. I have a same lawyer right now. I have a matter against Vincent Nelson. And he is standing up to defend my state. Come on, Mr. Matterson. Integrity. I have the former Attorney General who has matters before the court. He is now I pay any my taxpayer money to defend the state. And I mustn't say that. Come on, Mr. Matterson. Am I that stupid? Integrity, they have none. Enjoy your evening.
Yeah. Thank you. Good evening, caller.
Good afternoon, Mr. Matterson.
Yeah.
And good afternoon, Teresa.
Afternoon.
I must stop to make sure that I didn't start breaking up before going through a thing with. I had no intention of calling you, but after Bataria call, I had to call him and ask Bataria if he could also identify the hypocrisy that has been done by the PNM. Because I am no fan of Roger Alexander, and I find that they're burdening him by having him as a minister, because he very well might be a terrific MP, you know.
Yeah, correct. He would have made a better MP than a minister, but I mean, you know how the politics is work.
That is not the point I'm addressing nonetheless, right? I just pointed out that. But I also want to remind Bataria that Dr. Rowley made Shampa Kojo the Minister of Sport, and she made a public statement of not knowing nothing about sport. So why is it that you cannot see that portion of hypocrisy? Is it because it was being done by the PNM? That is what we continue to have to wrestle with in this country.
And you see, caller, I mean, the thing with all of that is that we seem to be majoring in minor. Because really and truly what we should be looking at is where the country is going, how they are administrating, where they're taking us, and how they're doing it. And the thing is, if instead of looking at what he do and what she do and what they should have done, and to me, I forget about all of that. I want to live. The people of Trinidad and Tobago want to live.
Well, Mr. Matterson, my thing is, I have no issue, no problem with people pointing out what they might see as shortcomings or raising their concerns or having their input or opinions, but it must be consistent or it must have some level of, how to put it, boy, equity in how you want to use your logic. You can't want to use this logic, right, for the UNC, and you don't want to touch that same logic when you're dealing with the matters of the PNM.
Correct.
That is what continues to stifle our progress as a nation, you know. We will never be able to properly treat with an issue because it has some people, for whatever reason, they cannot stand on principle.
It's like, you have just have to bank up.
But they're always taking a stand on some political preference. They could never have a sentiment unless the sentiment comes from their political party. It is dangerous more than the politicians themselves. Is the people that take and continue to have that approach, Matterson. You telling me that Dr. Rowley accepted that offer from the SRC when you asking your whole entire nation to wait until 2027 for a little financial ease?
Mm-hmm.
And nobody is seeing that is the straw that really broke the camel's back? But we have to check ourselves in this country before we even ask the politicians for better or ask them to check themselves.
We have to just start thinking.
We continue to encourage the foolishness. It has shortcomings coming from all these both parties. But Matterson, Let me see if I can go and get something cold to drink.
Amazing. But I value Bataria call all the time because he makes a lot of sense sometimes, and sometimes he reminds us of things that maybe we should remember, because when analyzing situations, sometimes you have to understand that you have to understand the history also. Good evening, caller.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. What I want to talk about is work. Now, right over the road by me, it have a Spanish fella working in a restaurant. He working from 10 in the day until 12, 1, 2 in the morning. He's living, he's renting. He has a thing, he's renting, he have a 10 children, he have 2 children, he's sending his family to school. He's not on a radio station asking for nothing. 1, 2. Children have so much private rooms, and they have people working in them. They're working for minimum wage. And when they finish work 7 to 4, they go in and clean a supermarket. We have the things stuck up in the back until 8, 9 to make a little change. And they will collect that monthly, and they will put that for wet days. So it hard work. But I must compliment Dr. Rowley for this. I must compliment him, give Jackie jacket. Dr. Rowley said, he said, the youths are lazy. They only want. This is how he said it. I can understand him at the time. And they don't want to work, which is true. And one thing, they only want government work. How many people in Trinidad do government go get government work? You have education. You have a good paper in some other thing that you could really go to do. But you want contractor work, you want supervisor work, and you want government work. Let me tell you something, sir. I have my 4 grandchildren, they work in 18 hours. I have my 2 daughters, they work in 16 and 17 hours. Nobody work in government work. Because when we name, the name go around, they would not get it. And they're trying to live. Make themselves somebody. They're happy with what they have. It's not a whole set of money and a whole set of nice things and a whole set of life. And if you hear independence and carnival coming, you're going and spend out all. No. If you hear the valley and in general, they come in, you're going and lackluster. So just know that is the price. If you have your children, you have to do anything to put food on that table for your children and to send them to school. Then you could call yourself a father. And a mother, if she wants to come $300 and don't want to help see about her children in the proper way, you are not parents. Your children is foster parents. If you only waiting on government for things, parents, fathers have to step them up, do anything. In the country where I live in Beach, it's $200 a day, 8 to 4, 7 to 3, hard work. Short for rent. People they live in their little house clean, they eating and drinking what they could afford, and they're happy. Make yourself happy and contented with what you have. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, caller. And that was Granny. Certainly she is laying out the rubric for productivity in Trinidad and Tobago. Good evening, caller. Caller, good evening.
Good. How's that? Yeah, good evening, everybody.
Good
Shelly
evening.
Live.
How are
Shelly
you?
Live.
How are you this evening?
Then I tried to be like the sun, El Nino, and Non-Nino. I tried to be like that. But listen to this one, huh? I went to watch cricket in Barbados yesterday, right? and the game start. So your boy sit down just on the edge of the green where the boundary line is, eh?
Mm.
And your boy taking in the game. You know, when I watch the field, I tell myself I was in a good place, eh? You know, I was behind the bowler back then.
You're behind it?
Bowler's back, meaning that.
Okay.
So I thought I had the best seat in the ground. Because I on the edge of the greens, boy. Just on the boundary line. Not knowing that if I didn't move up to the left side a little more in the center, I would have seen the batsman play the stroke, how the bowler delivering. You know, it's the second hour. And I would have seen the ball coming on the road away going. I would have seen if he missed the wicket keeper catch it. Yeah? But I tell myself I was the best seater. Watching, because I watch the game. There's only see that man back. And when the ball go on the other side, and no ball coming on my side. Yeah? But umpire, the best seat is what we say, as long as we sit down, and we had the privilege to sit in places where other people can't sit down. But really and truly, the best seat is at the other side, at other places. We don't understand that at all. Because here we're going on. Policies are made by politicians. I listen to cricket since I was small coming up the road. The only thing I hear, the words I used to hear was duck, Lewis, and that was the people playing the game. It's either Lewis batting or Lewis make a duck. Now I hear the duck, Lewis something, and the measure the game at the cricket. Eh? The most unfair way to win a match. Because here what's going on.
It's when rainfall.
Oh God, umpire, how's that? Eh? Because no, I Trinidad. Anytime they put up 2 stump, they do Obia. Anytime they put up 2 stump, the rain is fall, so then fellas just go and hit ball wild to make 40 runs in 2 overs. So that the Duck Lewis side will get the game, himself the next side make 100 runs. Eh? So the nice thing about this now, you see ungratefulness is a nice thing. When 625 people were dropping dead, in areas well known to everybody in the Caribbean, that is okay. When the Prime Minister and the Energy Minister negotiate a gas deal and he get a better price for the gas, and when the people change the government, you ain't seen the price of the gas, you ain't seen the gas, and you want to know what's going on. 15 years ago, everything you're hearing about the dragon and the dragon and the dragon. Then you hear somebody, I hear a caller say that is only 20%. Eh? But you know, you're talking about the coca manatee and ConocoPhillips, that the Trinidad court tell them that they pay $1 billion because the company ConocoPhillips was in the right and they expelled them from the field. Eh? Because the high-handedness tried to expel the people from developing it. And you know, that field, I want that caller know it have anything called Woodside. Eh? You see, when we could not get an operator to roll the pitch, to take out the moisture, we get a little light roller, we had a bronzeman running up and down. But 27%, right, is really more than 20% of the whole hog. That is true, you know. Because here what's going on. We have 65 for ourselves, because it's on this side. And so if you put a 10 to it, that'll be 75.
64.
On this side. Right. Okay? So 64 and 10 is how much?
74.
Right. So we have 74%, right? And 10 of the other people own who we put our radar to capture a man. And we call Mischief in the Caribbean. But I want to ask you, umpire, today, right? We had to wait till 2027. But now we're seeing the gas is ready to come on shore before 2027. Because BP had only 50% and our other company had 70% in the gas. That same deal, what we're talking about. And somebody disappointed and somebody ungrateful. All of a sudden, after 1 year, government change, BP was acquired back the full hog of 100%. But you see, some people just be better educated and knowledgeable to talk. But I was starting to be corrected. So the nice thing about it, since we had that gas 10 years ago negotiated, why does Jindal didn't take the steel mill? Why does Jindal come after the bid on them was closed to take the refinery? Why does ExxonMobil? Because the date was announced that is set in February 15th, 2015. ExxonMobil supposed to go in the Deepwater Horizon. The last government, energy minister, put out bid wrong. We get no response. But umpire, this is what I will ask you. You know, they say it's 15 minutes water break, and you're rolling ground for 20 minutes, with a light roller. How's that?
Well, I just love listening to you. You know, a lot of people wouldn't sometimes do appreciate what your contribution is, and sometimes they don't understand it. But I like your satire. But ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking about a lot of things this evening, and one of them in particular be veered off into productivity. Let's take this call. Good evening, caller.
Hello, good evening again. I think I'm in a much calmer mood. I was your last caller yesterday talking about the Independence Day Parade.
Yes.
And the movement. Today I want to share a human interest story. It was very heartwarming to me. Yes. I needed to pick up a couple of things in one of the major chains. And I won't say which is the chain or which venue I went to. And I was looking for a certain product. So I was searching, and not too far from me, there was a young lady, maybe 5 feet tall. It's so tall. Because I heard somebody pass by and call her Shorty. So 5 feet tall, and she was work. So I went to her and asked her, could you assist me in looking for XY products? So we both started looking, and she said, I think we're out of it, you know. Then she took out a notepad, you know, one of those, like a police. Yes. And she wrote it down and what I wanted. She said, you know, at the end of my shift, I am going to give it to my supervisor. And, you know, it was so nice because they said we have such poor customer service. But she even said to me she's awaiting her exam results. And she plans to either continue working and maybe go to school in the evening if she is not successful on the first try.
Yeah.
And that made me feel so good inside, so warm. Here is this person I don't know, but she stopped what she was doing. She was packing on stuff on the shelf. And she assisted me in searching for and we struck up a conversation. And you know, they say young people don't like to work and they're lazy and they like to lie on the block and smoke and drink. But here is a woman who seemed to be focused. You know, and that warmed my heart so much. She's probably like 17 or 18, I didn't ask of her age. But she awaiting exam results, and if she's not successful, she's going back to school, but she'll continue working and do evening classes. And I say, what, you know, about 5 feet tall, left so much. Petite, small, and you know, she was so pleasant. Because, you know, most times our customer service is so poor in this place. Poor. I would say pissing poor. We're really poor when it comes to customer service. But here was some young woman trying to make, what would I say? She's focused. That is all I could say. And that warmed my heart. I came home with it and I said, I must share with someone. I shared it with a taxi driver. But as I must share it with the public as well, because when you label young people as no good and lazy and don't want to work, here is this young lady, she is focused. She said, look, if I'm not successful on my first try, I'll continue working and I'll go back to school and do evening classes.
And that's the spirit you want in Trinidad.
Yes.
And
she's a total stranger to me, you know. I don't know her, she doesn't know me. But because I was searching for a certain product, I like what she did. She took out a little notepad from her pocket, wrote it down, wrote the item down, which even surprised me more, and said, well, at the end of her shift, she'll pass it on to her supervisor.
Correct. And the mere fact that you are talking about it, it says that you are not, it is not something that is common.
No, it isn't.
And that is bad for trying to be going. You talk about customer service. Sometimes people feel that in trying to be go, we don't, to a large extent, I can't even understand that we have so many nice places and so many nice beaches and all that kind of thing. But
I always say, when you get good customer service, shout it out. Now, I mean shout in an aggressive manner, but pass it on, because I am never going to ever meet that young lady again in life. I'm just supposedly, and we may never cross paths. But just her demeanor and the way she was not dropped, but she stopped what she was doing to come and assist me. Took out a notepad, wrote it down. You know, I mean, I don't know if, you know, she learned that at school or her parents taught her this. But, you know, another scenario would have been, we don't have any, we out of stock. I've got that already. We out of stock, we don't have any. Try back again. But she didn't seem to, she was so pleasant. That was, you know, and then it warmed my heart. I don't understand that expression, it warmed my heart. I wanted to tell the supervisor who was standing at the back of the cashiers, I wanted to say something, but I said, you know what? When I get home, I'll share it with the public, because I could have shared it with the cashier or the supervisor there. But to see how she took the initiative, you know, another one would have told me, no, we out of stock. And left it at that. It warmed my heart. You know what? There's still hope for humanity. That is how I will end. There is still hope for humanity. Despite how dark and hopeless things look, we still have hope for our young people. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your contribution. And this is good. I mean, hearing these things, we welcome all callers. And this is a nice story, because the mere fact, as I was saying to the caller, the mere fact that she would have, that would have been surprising to her, it tells me that it is not something that we are sometimes accustomed to. We see that kind of brash kind of attitude by workers sometimes. But again, this is private sector she's talking about, and this, in my opinion, this is kind of common, because the training you get in private sector, sometimes you don't get it, or the interest, or the ethos, the feeling of working or need to work, because there's a different kind of management style in private sector. It's a different kind of drive, you know. Private sector, to a large extent, they are in business to make for business. They are in business for profits, and to a large extent, state-owned or state workers or government workers seem not to have the same kind of attitude in terms of work. So I can understand the lady's position, and I'm not saying it is a general thing that state workers in government do have that. You have very, very, very good workers working for state-owned enterprises and government, but to a large extent you hear all the sad stories and all the bad things in that particular sector. So and that's a good story, as we were talking about productivity, because to a large extent it says where we are going in Trinidad and Tobago. Good evening, KFC.
Very good afternoon, Mr. Mackerson.
Good
Thanks
afternoon.
for inviting me, Cherry. There. The caller before my boy who just a country two-party PNM and UNC, and next caller calling and talking, call Granny. People, I always say to people like that, how this country it is. Because she always come along and cry on the youth side about them what depend on the government and the thing in there. But not depend on the government is there to put jobs in place to make people's life easy and securities and all these things are things. So Mackerson doesn't know people like that, doesn't like to see the youth and them reach nowhere. Because them dependent on the government for their pension. And then one thing, and I know you are trying to talk and listening to my contribution and going to that radio station. As a former talk show host like that. So I want to go for the country to move forward for the younger generation. But Mackerson now, sometimes you can't stay silent and suffer in silence and don't speak out. God, that's a PNM or UNC. Mr. Good afternoon to the Honorable Minister, Ms. Kilisha. She had people listening to this program, but it's the name callers and the cut out ones who send it to the ministers and things in there. And she reached out to the workers and them and give them the just due, where they work hard, all along. So we'll have backup, so they get it, so people can buy their little books, pay up the bills, and see about the family. We don't wait for the handout, we just go there and make sure it happens, Granny. Because promises to a company are fool. I don't put much trust in politicians, and the politicians not God. I question PNM or UNC. Nobody never pay me also to cost the PNM, you know. And nobody don't pay me to cost the UNC. Like that talk, you was getting paid to cost the PNM. And then all the sitting on government's radio station now, and French on my rights and telling me how I can't call in the program there. Man like Kingsley and Heavy Duty and them when we was campaigning hard on this radio station there, they get a little bone. They might be buying some telegrams down the fillers down there because they have to do certain things to get position fast and quick. But I can't do that. That is an abomination to God. So Mackerson, I look to listen, I live in
KFC, I wonder what is that, but what you have to do that is an abomination?
You have to whine. And they have to gargle to get you quick pension. You know what's going on behind the scene? You know that, Mackerson?
I don't know that.
You have to pass. And the robber say you have to pass 3 dogs, 3 parrots, and go on the couch.
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. But listen, on this program we listen to everybody. Right? Everybody have a story to tell. We listen to everybody. This is the Third Umpire Show. We kind of like analyze the cricket, and you, as the pavilion, you have an opportunity also to call in and tell us how we umpiring, or you could even umpire the game too. So this is what this is about. We don't make the news, and we certainly do have all the answers. But we were talking about today. The program went in a different direction. We were talking a lot about productivity and the expectation of persons, and sometimes why we need to see, I mean, what the government is doing right now, in my opinion, and I don't know, I wouldn't say it's luck, and I certainly wouldn't say that they are benefiting from what the previous government would have done in any significant way. Although the previous government, the previous members wasted no time in letting us know that. That to me is besides the point. At the end of the day, we are all Trinidadians and we want the best for Trinidad. If PNM is in office and PNM fail, all of Trinidad fail. If the UNC is in office and the UNC fails, all of Trinidad fails also. So at the end of the day, we have to support the people that, especially when we see good things happen, we have to say good things happen. When we see bad things happen, we need to talk about it too, right? So to me, it's not about that. I mean, you in the pavilion, you could say, you have your say, you could tell us how the game is going on. So we analyze it to a large extent. Caller, good evening. Caller?
How's that? I come back for a second, didn't?
Yeah.
Because
go ahead.
the batsman get injured, so I'll do a little running for him.
Go ahead.
So, you tell me you need your umpire. I asking you, then I telling you that if I have 15 minutes water break, 15 minutes water break, and the law state that the cricket rules state that when I take a water break, I have to roll the pitch for 15 or 20 minutes. So, if I will interpret what I say, because it has listeners too, so I'll talk for it, I will interpret it for it.
Yes.
You see, when we tell ourselves, well, good evening, listeners. You see, when we tell ourselves, we sit at our vantage point and be in a good position.
To see the game.
That don't always mean, right? To see the game, yeah, to see the game. That when we sit in is only when the game starts. You'll realize that we're missing out. And we're seeing how the whole game play. So we'll listen to what other people say. We'll watch the replay board. But we're talking that we went to a good game. When I talk about that it had a deal signed since in 2015, it have a government for 10 years that negotiating. And up to this day, we had to wait till 14 years to see if it will materialize. And still, a company, a foreign company, an expatriate company, have the most important thing holding on to it is the OFAC license to operate the field. So if we was negotiating as a country for status and revenue stream and to take care of our citizens, that OFAC license could have been Heritage Petroleum owned. And Heritage Petroleum could have owned that OFAC license for 30 years to operate because they're in the oil, gas, and exploratory business. So the revenue and the real equity would have been to the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And the people who had Woodside and the last person to manage the energy sector was playing a game with that company to take up all the loose gas and the gas which was outside in our waters after a company was in this country for over 40 years, which is, it started with a MOCO and it ended with BPTT. I call it names, just for the listeners on them to understand it. So when Woodside took 70% and leave a multinational with only 30%, when the government changed, the energy sector, the gas deal flow on the line to LNG was only 30% to the LNG train. That is why the mudball trade won. And after 20 years of operation, international law say you have to do aggressive upgrade, right? And I wonder why, and I will ask the question, umpire, why does NGC book put out $235 million to upgrade Trade One when a company who owns a local conglomerate own Woodside, so that gas would have go to the Trade One and the Dragon gas, and we didn't focus on the Laura Manatee. It's after they come now and saying that the Laura Manatee, we are getting much out of it because the other players on them who had the 70% had the more say. So that is why the 20% sound plenty and they forget about the 65%. But you see, smart with foolishness. It comes just like the police outpost on them. The police now is bad. The army is aggressive. But when we had them to Porterstein and joint army patrol over the years gone by, with the bad, the good, and the ugly government, and everybody else enjoy coming up the road, it was okay. But now we putting them in strategic points to make we citizens safe. They're telling us that is a bad thing. It have a lot of squatters. It have a lot of registered building with tongue and country approval in throughout the same registers. But we will give them a blind, right? But to fight crime, they own the tongue. Don't come in my tongue and do what you want. Because you know why? It seems as though it belongs to them and them alone, and not the whole of the republic and the citizens like me, you, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the pretty too. So how's that? That is the interpretation, umpire. How's that this evening?
You make a lot of sense. Right? And the thing is, while I agree with the caller, and I just want to go back on that police post issue, right? To say that, and to agree with Senator Vera when he said that you'd force, no country in the world have ever won the war against crime with force only. But what we are seeing with this, certainly with this government, is that they seem to be thinking through everything now, and certain things are falling into place. So I look forward to all the other social elements of this crime fighting issue, this crime fighting fight. And we look forward to also the addressing the issues in the schools. We look forward to addressing the issues with families and that kind of thing. We look forward to addressing the issues of social support for certain people who are in need of it. We look forward to addressing the situation in schools with the school psychologists and the school social workers and that kind of thing. And all of that, to me, will make up the whole gambit of services that will assist in reducing crime. So it's not just about the police posts and all that kind of thing. That is something that myself and other callers would have spoken about months now. We talk about the other things outside of just the police and the police boots on your neck and the police running you down and thing. I'm seeing a softer approach, and to me that is the better thing. Because if the police, and this was of course the Jamaican model, because when the issue of the Zoso came up a couple months ago, it was said that they were looking at the Jamaica situation and they were modeling that particular legislation against it. That didn't happen, but we are now seeing elements of it now being put in place. And to me, that will go a long way. If you have police presence, if you have more national security presence in your community, then you would have less avenue for certain kind of criminal activity, and more so you will have the intelligence on the ground to be able to arrest the situation when it happens. But there are other things that has to be done, and I'm almost sure that the government is also listening to us, and they are listening to the people, and that too will be sorted out. And we are seeing help. We are seeing things that are happening that could help to bring us to that point where the government will have the kind of revenue to be able to do all the other social things to bring down the level of crime. And that is, for sure we know that the Prime Minister herself, she is very big on children, she's very big on social services, she's very big on education, and that, in our opinion, also should be part of the rubric to solve the problem. So at the end of the day, it can't just be one thing. I mean, we have to look at everything, and on this show we try to look at everything and try to put things into perspective. I, for one, has always been saying that for election, government make promises. All of them make promises. They make promises on the basis of certain forecasts. They make promises on the basis of what they experienced before. They make promises on the basis of what they think could happen based on what they see in the trajectory of things. And sometimes they make promises, sometimes just to fool you, just to get a vote. But at the end of the day, you have to... What we're seeing here is that this government is really trying as best as possible to fulfill some of the promises that they make. And some of them, in my opinion, were very idiotic promises, but they are still trying to fulfill the promises that they would have made. And while they would have lost some goodwill, to me, what is happening in Trinidad and Tobago and where I see we are going, the trajectory of things, and especially with what we saw in the last 2 days with the revitalization of the steel plant and that kind of thing, that those are steps in the right direction. Not just the investment, but what it will do for Trinidad and Tobago. The fact that we will be able to produce that 20% of production of manufacturing that the U.S. has lost from moving it away from China, or China and Russia not willing to supply to the U.S., and we are able to supply that. That's revenue for Trinidad and Tobago, and those are the things we had to see coming out of these initiatives, as opposed to just seeing the negative. Right? Trinidad and Tobago is a small place, very, very small, tiny. We one state in the U.S. is sometimes 16 and 18 times bigger than Trinidad and Tobago, and we are still coming with a massive punch, and we have to understand that we still have relevance. We still have relevance to the U.S. We still have relevance to other places, and all of this is happening against other broader geopolitical implications, geopolitical situations that are taking place in the world, and for some reason sometimes we don't look at it, we don't even understand it. But all of these things are coming on the heel of that, and that will work for Trinidad and Tobago. But one thing we have to also be very concerned with is the issue of climate change. And at the beginning of the show, I would have spoken about what happened in Colombia. That climate change is real. We are feeling it and experiencing it. A lot of it in Trinidad and Tobago. It's actually hotter than it was before. I could just imagine when real rain started to fall, what will happen. And the heat is a different kind of heat. It's like more humidity. I mean, it's really, really hot. Sometimes you go outside, you can't help but sweat. But that should tell us something. We saw what happened in Venezuela a few weeks ago, just over a month ago. We saw what happened in Venezuela, and it wasn't a good experience. They are still reeling from that. They are doing a lot of cleaning up and a lot of trying to build back and come together to fix that. A lot of countries have come together, including Trinidad and Tobago, to lend support to those who would have survived that particular horrific natural disaster. And that is one natural disaster that don't give you no warning, and don't tell you what's happening. But we are seeing that what is happening over there, that to me is a warning, and that to me is something we should be planning for. You can't plan for it in the way we might think about planning for something like that traditionally, but we have to develop the kind of mindset, the psychology that this could possibly happen and what it will do to Trinidad and Tobago. And it's good to know that there are other bigger countries who will always be there to give us support in some way when these kind of things happen. But these things could certainly happen. As I was saying in the earlier part of the show, I was reading an article, and I can't remember the news, but it was U.S. news that spoke about a scientific study that showed that the U.S. could experience a flooding disaster that will be in biblical proportions. And we're talking about kind of like end of the world kind of thing. All of this is created or could be measured by how we look at climate change. What is happening? What happened before, probably millions of years before, and what the conditions that applied then, and how it could work for or against the earth. And man is also doing a lot of things. I was looking sometime at what happens with continuous drilling and oil and that kind of thing. Oil is not something that is necessarily sitting below the earth running like water. You have to do a number of things. Sometimes the first time you drill, you probably only get about 10% of the oil that is there. It's hard and sticky, and you have to flush water, and you have to flush an next chemical to take it out and then extract the oil from it. All of that, when we take that out from the earth, down there gets brittle. It means that you will have displacements, and all of that could also have implications for things like earthquakes and all that kind of thing. But again, I don't want to go into that. The thing is, we have to look at everything, and we have to look at we had to look at survival. So we had to live, we had to do what we have to do to survive, to live, but at the same time, we have to also consider all the other implications, all the other things that are happening around us that would make it either easier or more difficult for us to survive. And that is my take on this whole issue of what is happening in Trinidad and Tobago in terms of development, in terms of these investment initiatives, in terms of how we see governance, in terms of productivity and everything. Let me take this call. Good evening, caller.
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Matterson.
Afternoon. How are you?
Hey, I good, sir. I good. One of the few evenings I get a little 2 minutes under the program. I have to call in. So I'll be very brief. Great work you're doing on this platform. Great work. I know you asked one of the callers, or you was talking about the zones, the police posts. I am in absolute support of any and all initiatives to make the country a safer country. To me, that's straightforward, you know. And I even in support of, if they say, you know, respectfully and within boundaries monitoring persons' activity on the networks and whatnot. That is a futuristic topic, but long story short, the police post, total support it. Once it's ethically conducted, no invasion of person's privacy, but come on, before we could talk about anything else, education, development of our economy, we need to have social stability. So I totally support it. Great work as usual, and kindly keep up the great work.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and I would agree with the caller. I mean, if you have runaway crime and you had to try something, you had to do something, and you had to think it through also. And the thing is, this is one step in the direction we need to go. We've already seen some reduction in crime to some extent in the last year or so. Shortly, I am supposing we may not be under a state of emergency anymore. And when that happens, clearly we will have some things will have to be done to be able to for us to live and arrest the crime situation. And if that thing, what we have to do now, we have to put certain things in place so that when the state of emergency is removed, that we will have that position, we will be in that position to arrest crime anyway or to keep crime on the low. And as I said, Jamaica would have tried it. A number of countries would have tried it. I don't know how many of you would have remembered the Giuliani's case in New York when crime was on the rampant, really, really bad, and what he did. But you have to take the bull by its horn. You have to think through the situation, and we could get out of this. But again, it is not just one thing. It's a multifaceted approach, and at the end of the day, the government have to do what the government have to do. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of the program. Certainly, we will continue tomorrow. Right?
You've got bills to pay, and so do we.